Hey friends, welcome to day 6 of the stitch along. So today we are going to be working on our reference, and this will be our last text, and then we'll also be working on our windows. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the reference just because it's a little bit different than our straight text. The only thing that's different is that we're actually going to be using 2 strands, so we're going down to even fewer strands than we used up here on our straight text. And because it is smaller, it might take you a little more time. I'm not going to show you me stitching it. I mean, I'll do a fast forward video of it, but I'm not going to walk you through it because you know what to do at this point. But I do want to explain that it will probably only be about 2 stitches going up vertically, whereas we did 3, sorry, the shadow, 3 over here. We'll probably only do 2 about this side. So next, I'm going to show you that fast forward, and then I'll stop and come back to explain the windows. Okay, so we've finished our text, and now we are going to move on to the windows. So the windows will be using color 729, and we're going to be using the full 6 strands. So you're just going to pull an arm length. Whoopsies, I just threw my clip over across the room, but guess what? It was exactly an arm length. So I'm going to, you honestly probably don't need a whole arm length. It really doesn't take that much, but I like to always pull an arm length because I rather have enough than not enough. Okay, and of course we're still using our embroidery needle. Sorry, I've been having this little voice thing. Okay, and I think I've mentioned this, maybe I mentioned it during the clouds for anyone who is using 6 strands. It is a little bit harder to thread 6 strands, so use a needle threader if you need to. Of course, I just like spit, but you know, do what you gotta do in order to get it inside the little tiny needle eye. Okay, so our windows are going to be satin stitch, and they're going to be horizontal satin stitches because all of our homes are going to be a vertical stitch, and it just helps it not to blend too much into one another. And a satin stitch is really easy, but it can get complicated if you don't pay attention. Essentially, all we're going to be doing is starting on one side. So say with this window, start on the left side. We're just going to go from the left to the right, one long stitch. Come back to the left, go to the right. Come to the left, go to the right, following the lines up. Now, where it can get a little complicated is if you accidentally don't keep your string straight and you kind of go a little crooked. That's when it starts to look a little funky. So it can be a more difficult stitch if you're not focusing. So we're going to start with this window right here. Actually, you know what? I'm going to start us on an easier window because this does have a curve to it. That does make it a little bit harder. Here, I'm going to start over here. That way I was just thinking, like, but if I do this, then I'm going to have to go this way and then this way with my thread, and I don't want to do that. I'm going to start at this window right here. Let's zoom in. I'm sorry for any shadows. It is a cloudy day again in Augusta. Okay, so we're going to start on the left. I'm going to come up right on that bottom line. So I'm stitching essentially that bottom horizontal line you see. Okay, come up. I'm going to kind of flatten my thread a little because sometimes when you come up it starts to twist a little. And now I'm going to go right down over on this other side, straight across. And try not to pull too tight, because if you pull too tight, it's going to both pull your fabric and it's going to pull your floss too tight, and you don't really want that. You don't want it to be fluffy, but you just want to pull just enough for it to be all the way through. So now I'm going to come back again on the left side, and the reason why I always start on one side and go to the other is the same with the text. You want the fabric to all be pulling the same direction all the time. You don't want to be pulling your fabric from left to right, right to left, left to right, and then it's wonky. So I'm going to come right above that other stitch. And there is a knot obviously back there because of that knot right there. So sometimes you kind of have to move this with your finger from behind, like hold it while you're trying to find the stitch hole, or the hole at least you're going to be going through. And you don't need to make these stitches too close together because they are 6 full strands, so they fill themselves in nicely. So this will probably be my last stitch. So only 3 stitches going up for this window at least. I don't know if they'll all be exactly like that. And you can kind of hold your thread just a little bit and go slowly, so that way you know it's going in straight and not crooked, because sometimes if you pull too fast, your floss will twist and it'll get a little wonky. Okay, so that's it for the plain window right here. Now with this curve, you're doing the exact same thing. It's just you're going to follow up around the edge. So I'll show you that now. So I'm starting on the bottom, and I would suggest you start on the bottom versus starting at the top where the curve already is. It's easier to work into the curve versus working from the curve, at least personally. Sorry, I was trying to look at it because I felt like this stitch was a little crooked, but I think I'm okay with it. Now, alternatively, if you want, you could do French knots in the window. I don't think that would be a bad idea. I was thinking of that, I think, last night when I was working on another project, and I was trying to think of stitches and whatnot, and it made me think, oh, I wonder what those windows would look like as French knots. Just if you want to have something that looks a little different on top of the satin stitch that will come vertically. You know what I'm saying. I'm not gonna keep trying. So I'm gonna use my needle here to help it go down nice and slow. Okay, so I'm kind of right at the tip of where it's going to start getting a little smaller. So it's probably only going to be 2 stitches here. And this one looks like it's going to be the exact same length as all the other stitches. And it's not, you're not going to see a huge difference in the window. It's not a huge curve. Had this piece been like 10, 12-inch hoop, you probably would see that curve more. You're not going to see it super well in this 6-inch piece. So if anything, if you get to this part and you're like, I cannot make these curves look like curves, just leave them as squares. It won't be a big deal. Okay, so I'm going to do one more. sorry, I'm turning it towards the light a little bit, and I'm gonna come in just a little bit. Do you see where I'm coming in here? I'm trying to move my needle so you can kind of see. I've come in just a tad. I'm not gonna go as far on this side either. Okay, so kind of in some way, I was gonna say it's like a pyramid, but it's not like a pyramid. It's kind of like, ooh, thread on my fingers. Okay. I'm drawing something. This is not a great drawing, but essentially it's like these 3 rows are exactly the same size, and then that top row is just a tiny bit smaller to help give that illusion of the curve at the top. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so from here on out, you'll just finish the rest of the windows. It's just a regular square, and I'm pulling, if you notice, I'm just pulling from here to here. I'm not tying off after each time, because eventually these back stitches are going to get covered anyways because of the little homes. So you have this window here, this one, which is curved, I think, now that I'm looking at it. Yeah, it's curved. I just must not have traced the curve very well. And then we have 2 windows here, and then curved window right here. So just, you can pull your floss each time from one to the other. So I'm going to show you the rest of that. It's going to be fast forward, and then I'll come back at the end. Okay friends, so that is the end of day 6. We have finished the windows, and from here on out, other than the very last day, we're working on houses. I tried to split this up so that you also had plenty of time to catch up on other days and to kind of stretch this out to 12 days so it didn't feel too overwhelming. So tomorrow on Friday, we'll be working on our first 4 houses, and then you'll have the weekend to catch up, and then we'll come back Monday and start on houses again. We are halfway done. It is crazy to think that we have already been working on this for half a week. For 1 week is what I mean to say. But all that to say, I can't wait to see your progress. If you have any questions, let me know in the Facebook group. Email me if you're not a part of the Facebook group, and I'm looking forward to seeing your progress.